and like, especially like on a drain call, we always try to keep that to the technicians. We'll have some drain technicians that will specifically bring their small machines, large sewer machines, and then we'll scope it out. Most of the time, you know, oh, I've got a kitchen sink that's draining slow or whatever.
Yeah.
We go and look at it, and it's just full of grease. You know? So then that brings us to an option of like our Bio 1 treatment, you know, trying to keep the Bio 1 to where it'll treat every drain in the house.
Sure.
Or maybe it's just plumb full of hair and it just needs to be cleaned out really well.
Yeah.
And so the technicians try to offer the options there of like some alternative cleaning and things like that. But while they're there on site, they try to say, well, while we're here, would you like us to also take a look? I mean, has this been going on a long time? Like, have you had a lot of other drain issues? And if they make any mention at all, they say, well, if you're interested, we can go ahead and check out your main line and just make sure it's not having any root buildup or anything like that.
Okay. And you said you guys have a camera.
Yes.
And you use it on how frequently?
I try to use it every time we get on a call.
Yeah.
Sometimes our cameras will get spread out a little bit, so we're having to like, okay, let's make a note so we can get back over and scope that real quick while it's fresh on everybody's mind.
Sure. And then you get to, do you show the homeowner what's going on?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so the camera, one of the cameras that we use, it's actually, you can just pull it up on your iPad, and then you can be like, and I've even been like, well, will you hold this screen for me real quick?
Yeah.
Can you see that all right? Because we're going to go down some dark secrets here.
Let's see what you've been flushing.
And they go, oh my.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, just, you'll see what I mean.
Yeah.
So then we start going down, and then you can just slowly push the camera and be like, so this is where you have cast iron that's transitioning into clay or Orangeburg or whatever, you know. And then you can actually point out and then take a screenshot, and they'll be like, oh, what is that? Oh, well, that's a root ball that's actually starting, and it's actually pushing the side of the Orangeburg in.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're like, oh my goodness, you know, and then it explains to them. It doesn't freak them out most of the time, but they're just like, I had no idea.
Right.
You know.
Right. So Kory, what do I do about that? How do you, I'm sure that question comes,
yes.
right?
They're like, so can we go ahead and rod that out for now? And I says, we can totally rod that out. We can clean that out nice and pretty for now. But just let's finish going down this line, and let's just see what else is going on.
Yeah.
And then by the time we get all the way to the main or a septic, wherever they're at in town, you know, we'll be like, okay, well, you've got roots here, you've got roots here, you've got roots here, and the pipe's even starting to deform. So it's not going to get better, you know, with cleaning it out. And we're happy to clean it out. Yeah. But we'd also like to talk to you about some like replacement options. And then that's usually when they'll get into the concerns of, well, what about this $4,000 retaining wall that my husband just put in?
Yeah.
Or what happens to my landscape?
Right.
Well, and that's where we go right into like, well, we can do pipe bursting, we can do cure in place liners, and get you all squared away.
Now, do you have that conversation as you're standing there looking at the iPad, or you go sit down somewhere?
We have it right there while we're covered in the stuff, and we'll be like, I mean, and you know, we just mentioned to him like, hey, this is an option. It's not the end of the world, you know.
I'm assuming those homeowners were like me before I got into this stuff. I had no idea what pipe bursting and reline, like, I barely knew that I had a line in my main anyway. So how do you educate people about what each of those products are?
So it used to be diarrhea of the mouth, where it was just like, well, let me tell you all this really cool thing. You got a big head and it just does all this. And then you just see their face just glaze. Yeah. So what we did, and we even got into a little more with the marketing, is we have some people put some videos together of like us actually doing a line pull, what we call a line pull, the pipe bursting. Yeah. And then I just have a link, and I go, I can show you real quick what the pipe bursting looks like here. And so we'll actually click on that link. It's a short video. You don't want to bore them. Sure. But just so they can actually see the process, they're like, oh, I see. So you dig a hole here, you dig a hole out there, and then if you have access, you can burst through that thing and pull a brand new line. Or if you've got a cast iron clay line that's going underneath the slab and up this 3-story hotel, guess what? We can go in from here and go all the way to the top, and we can blow in a liner and then seal it up. Yeah.
Do people are asking, which one's better? Which one would you go with? So then, do you get that question?
Yes.
So how do you explain which one you would go with, or do you just say,
So what we do is we say it depends on what your circumstances are. Yeah. So for example, if your line is Orangeburg out in your yard and it is completely smashed in, we say the liner absolutely is not the way to go.
Yeah.
And that helps them, because they're like, oh, you're not just trying to sell me a liner. No, we want to give you what's going to work,
Yeah.
But in this case, we want to burst through that thing and pull a brand new pipe in its place, Whereas if we're having to go through 3 stories of drywall, flooring, and things like that, I was like, well, we're definitely not going to pipe burst that.
Yeah.
You can actually line that bad boy and it's ready to go.